All right. Hello. Welcome, everybody, to the Affluent Woman CEO Summit. I'm your host, Cheryl J. Moses. And today we are talking about leaning into your website as your digital marketing foundation. And this is a great conversation to have, and I'm excited to have it with our expert, Charlene Brown. And Charlene, first of all, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Great to have you. So I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience and tell them about your company and just what you do.
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Charlene Brown, the Brand Misfit, and I am the Chief Technology Officer for Brooklyn Custom Designs. And I love it because I get to not only be a techie and enjoy that space, but I get to really break down what it is that is expected of a lot of websites, especially if they're in the business side of things. And I don't want people to feel overwhelmed. A lot of times we talk ourselves out of tech and we tell ourselves we're not techie, but you don't have to be. You just have to understand the concepts of it all. And then, of course, how to rally the right people around you and have that pure clarity. So now you know where you should be and you can lead how you use tech rather than have tech lead you.
I love that. That is, and it's very true. It's very true. Our website is so important. So let's get into this conversation because this is one of my favorites to have, because I used to design websites. So I understand how there's just like a gap in education as to why you should understand that this is your real estate online. Like this is an essential part of your brand. So what is your approach to business owners as far as them taking it seriously about having a website?
I usually just go straight into understanding more of their branding. Do they even have an understanding of it? Is there something about where they would like to see themselves in the future that they want to, take off their plate in the sense of automating? A lot of small business owners don't tend to advertise themselves that much because they don't have the capital. They don't have the capital to constantly be out there. But then, of course, it becomes what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? So how do you get the capital if nobody knows about you? How do you get people to know about you if you can't get out there because you don't have the capital? So a lot of times I love to have people really focus and say, what if you can build your own platform on your own terms? You're not chasing algorithms. You're not trying to figure all these different things out. If you don't dance, you don't sing, you don't tell jokes, like how do you get people to stick around on your profile, right? One of the best things I've always found, especially because I do it for myself, is to educate folks about who you are. Your platform is the best time to test things out. You can be long-winded in a blog, you can be short-winded, you can do videos, audios, whatever that feels like for you, but make it make sense as well for the tech. And then, of course, allow the search engines to help. But when Google, because as we know, Google is a driver for that.
Yeah.
One of the main things that they started to really push out and pretty much demand it is that the content needs to be value. It needs to be something that is factual. And more people can't be fooled into going to your website if you're not talking about the things you're using as keywords. And a lot of those tricks are now fading away. Are they being, are people stop using them altogether? Of course not. But do you want to fall into that group of people where when we go to your website, we can't trust what we're here for, or we can't even find what you told us on social that we can come and get? So a lot of times that too has been my pivotal reason for getting out here. And I know trying to talk to a techie sometimes it's like two different languages.
Right.
So now let's simplify that. I wanted to remove that barrier and make education the first thing at the forefront. So if the business owner who claims not to be a techie can actually understand the purpose of it and then build their focus around what is their goal, and then bring that into, okay, let's make sure that my goals are met and my website is going to help me do that. Once you get those two pieces working in that term, in that flow, everything else kind of falls back into place, because now even if you don't have the time, you can find someone to help you and get it done.
Absolutely. You said so much in that. And it's so many great things right there. And one thing that really sticks out to me is like when you said about the algorithm, is because we are so focused on social media that the website stuff just kind of falls to the wayside. Like we just, we're not even focused on our website. But it's like if we use social media as a tool to drive people to our website, that makes the most sense for us to grow, to build, and all that great stuff. Like if you want your marketing to be right and your branding and all that, and you want to make more sales, you need to be driving your people from social media off those platforms onto your own platform. Like that's
Absolutely.
something that we really need to highlight and really need to take seriously. So I love that you said that and putting all those pieces together. And let's talk about SEO for a minute because that is so essential. And I've actually been talking about this for the past few days myself, because if you want to be found, your SEO needs to be on point. So can we just talk about that for a little bit? Just give me some
Absolutely.
education about that. Yeah.
Yes, because and for me, I was the same way when I started out. I didn't know a thing about SEO because I wasn't a marketer. I was like, okay, where am I going to start? And there's so many layers to it, but I needed to really drill down and get myself back on the basics.
Mhm.
What's the purpose of SEO? It's to help other people who don't even know about us, who have not seen us, find us. And then part of our job is to join conversations that are already happening.
Mhm.
So as we know, we have a business, Google has a business, Yahoo has a business, Bing, they are still around. Those companies have businesses, and that is to find the answers for their customers who are searching. So if we can now figure out, all right, let's just find those main words that people are looking for. And then, of course, add our spunk to it. What's our side of the conversation? Do we agree? Do we disagree? Do we have a blended opinion? What would that look like? And then be able to infuse ourselves into the conversation that's already happening on those search engines. It now becomes not just easier, but it starts to make more sense when you're creating content on how you're going to do that. What are those words? So instead of you finding one word, create your own phrases around those words. That's how the uniqueness comes out for you. You want to feel like that misfit energy about yourself, that you're just a rebel, right? You don't want to do every single thing someone else does, but you definitely want to listen and take some of those suggestions or some of those strategies, and then make those things yours and put your own energy and spunk to it. And before you know it, people now start to find you because you're not only adding to the conversation, you're creating new conversation.
Yes. I love that. Adding to the conversation. Yeah, and I think we need to focus even more so now on like the long-term keywords, kind of like what you're saying, just kind of adding on to that conversation and really understanding your client, because it's that's really the main focus. Like you understanding your client, what will they search for? What will
Yes.
they search for? And so you can understand what will pop up and how you need to navigate with your website and make all that happen, pull it all together and tighten it up. So on the
Exactly.
SEO, on the SEO part. So do you recommend any like tools or anything that we can use for that? Because I know sometimes that can be a tedious thing and time consuming, kind of like looking up all that stuff and trying to figure it out. So is there any like process or approach that we should take, as far as SEO?
Yeah, so as I mentioned a little bit before, is first figure out what do you love talking about? What's passionate about what you do, especially if it's something, if you're a coach, you're a consultant, what's the main conversations you have with your clients?
Mhm.
And then based on that, you can I use a tool called Squirrely SEO,
Okay.
and it's mainly in the WordPress world, but I love it because it helps me not only track what is that keyword or that phrase that I would love to use, it gives me other options around that. And it helps me search, and I can do that all within my website. So while I do that, it also goes through my articles that I write, and it tells me, oh, okay, add one or two more keywords or phrases so this can be amplified a little more. And I learned that one of the scores that it tries to have me aim for is 84 and above. And
Okay.
that's usually a score that you want to have when you're dealing with SEO. You want to aim for that to be in the high ranking ability, right?
Right.
So because I don't know all the nooks and crannies, it walks me through. It walks me through the setup. It walks me through explanations. It tells me all these good, juicy things that I need to know without overwhelming me, without me having to sit down and listen to a whole course. I can just knock this out as I go along and write up my articles and things like that. So that's one of the tools that I super, super love. And I lean on that, especially if I have to help clients get theirs together. But I can't even use something like that if they don't know what is it that they want to even talk about. What's
Yep.
the focus? What's the terms that they would like to use? And even if it's a term that is not really known or out there, let's get some supporting terms. That's where we start creating those phrases for our work, right? And then when we're doing that, we're bound to be able to piece together popular phrases and terms to what we want to introduce, bring that together, and then start building your SEO power based on that. So Squirrely SEO for me is super easy, super simple. There's also Rank SEO. That's also in WordPress. A lot of people use Yoast. You can use that. Google has a keyword tool, but if I'm not mistaken, that's also connected directly with their Google ads. So you would have to have an ads account just to get access to it. So I'm not always a fan of that because not everybody's ready to get into that space with the ads yet.
Right. Well, those are some great tools. Thank you. Now you see me writing them down. I'm like, okay.
And of course you have the SERP watch and you have all those other
Right.
main tools. But again, if depending on what your budget is, chicken or the egg, how do you get there? There's a lot of amazing free tools to start you off. And of course, if that's not your thing, get to the place where you actually can write out some terms for yourself that you would love to have, terms and phrases, and then hire someone to help you out
Yeah.
who's great at it, and see the kind of work that they do and see how far they can get you before you're really ready to make another shift.
That's right. Yeah. And we all need to delegate more. So let's just be honest here. If you can't get it done yourself, or if you don't want to, because I know sometimes I just don't want to learn another thing. Like I just don't even want to be bothered. I'd rather just hire somebody to do it. And this is another thing, us stepping up in our leadership is hiring people to do things for us so we can focus on other things that we're good at. Right. So let
Absolutely.
people do their job. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Help
But
them help you. That's what
help
that
that,
key
right,
is.
exactly. This is all about us as CEOs and leaders. Like this is what we need to do.
Yes.
And one of the things you said when you were talking about these, well, that tool squarely, is it's simple. And I'm like, yes, because anything that's simple, I know that it's for me because I run from complicated things. So listen,
Absolutely.
yes, that
And I
that's
love that they gamify it too. So when
okay.
I'm moving up in the charts on Google, it tells me, it gives me like little notifications. And
Oh,
if certain terms really get there and they become number one or the top 10, it
yeah.
gives you a little trophy on the back end. It's like, hey, you made us.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they're really cool. That's why I like them.
That's something to check out for sure. Yeah. So now you mentioned WordPress. So let's
Yeah.
talk about platforms because yeah, WordPress is my platform. I just prefer it over everything else because of the functionality, the flexibility, and all that stuff. What do you say about these different platforms to
I
build on?
look, like I said, again, it's about time, it's
Yeah.
about a mental state of mind. If you don't have the time, because you're going to need time anyway to learn whatever platform you're on, no matter how easy somebody tells you, right?
True.
Um, and it's also what is the ultimate goal after that? I say if you're in a space where you really need to do it yourself, you just needed to just push something out, get it done, research a little bit, look at some of the YouTube channels. A lot of these platforms have videos where they're explaining the platform. They're showing you the back end a little bit. So you don't have to invest first before you get to the back end. You can see a little bit of what the back end is about.
Mm-hmm.
And I like going straight to the companies because it's not always about the bells and whistles, right? They don't always only tell you the sexy stuff. Those who are promoting and they're doing affiliate, they're giving you all the bells and whistles and the sexy stuff. And they tend to skip like, this might be a little difficult, or if this isn't for you, they don't always give you those conversations. So it's rare. So I love going straight to the horse and figure it out, right? And
Mm-hmm.
see, is this a fit? And if you feel like you can start there, then test it out. Test out the platform, but regardless of what platform you're on, because I love WordPress, regardless, just like you said, the flexibility of it all. I get to run my own show,
Yeah.
all of that, right? So, and that's WordPress.org, because .com is the same as Squarespace and all that. So let's just be clear on that too, because there's not a lot of platforms where you can buy your own hosting, download their core, and have access to what, thousands of plugins and add-ons and all these other things that are free to start. You have a lot of freemiums where you will have access to a premium version of it. There's a lot, right? So the flexibility, the access, there's not a lot of platforms that'll give that to you. A lot of platforms tell you that, oh, hey, you said you didn't want the hassle, we're the one. Come to the .com, we'll manage everything and all that good stuff. But then they're also limiting some of the things that you are dreaming that you can do, but you can't really do that on these platforms. But that's cool. At the end of the day, I say figure out where you can start now. Get yourself in a position of where can I and how can I grow? And part of that too is get that game plan. I don't care what platform you go to, get your game plan down. Understand what your strategy needs to be for your entire business to brand. And I love helping folks build out a brand, not just a business that they can ditch a week or later. Because a lot of times, if you're not in that mental space of, wow, this is something that I'm going to build a legacy, I'm building a memory, I'm building something that I want to stand the test of time, then you're not ready to invest either. There's a lot of things that you're going to be ready to do shortcuts with, and you're not going to take seriously. So first, figure out, what do you want to do with this? Is it short term or long term? Then are you building for the future? So when you're building for the future, of course, you're thinking 5 months, 5 years, 10, 20 years. What does this look like? Am I building a team? What am I doing here? And when you start to think in that mindset, you can now start to say to yourself, okay, I want to eventually have a podcast. I want to eventually own my own space and my own voice. I want to eventually have videos. Maybe I want to host my own videos. What would that look like? How can I build around that and allow my website to be the anchor that holds me down, right? So a lot of that really will end up driving where you end up building your platform, because then you also have to remember, if you're in someone else's sandbox, you have to deal with their rules. And that's a lot of these .coms. They have rules, and they should, because you're now on a shared platform. They have to regulate how you use that platform, and they have to protect all of their users. Same thing with the hosting company, but they deal with it on the back end from a different angle than you normally would get when you're dealing with a .com situation, and how you can actually plug different things in and add different components and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really about, first, get your game plan and get the understanding of, what are you building now, and are you building something for the future? And then of course you start looking for your main platforms. But I'm a WordPress girl. I've been there since 2004. They launched in 2003, and me and my friend was like, okay, bye Drupal.
Right? Yeah.
Bye Drupal, you doing too much. So yes.
Yeah. I love that. You broke that down so well. We have to start with what our goals are and then go from there. Because, when we're talking about building a foundation, you can't have a house stand on a shaky foundation. So what is it that you want to build. What does the future look like?
Right. And I
You
don't mind monitoring my back end to say,
know?
okay, do I like this component? Maybe I want something else. Some people, they want to go to a platform that everything's built out for them already. They just jump in and go. And that's great. But for me, when I start to look at, okay, I don't like how this integration is looking. I want something else. And I'm now open, like a door opens up and there's all these integrations I get to pick from. Then I'm like, yes, this is what I wanted it to do. This is not what I wanted it to do. And of course, once I really grow and get to the point where not only am I bringing in a team, I'm bringing in other coders to deal with a lot of the other things that I know I see coming out, and I want that infused into my space without too many limitations. So yeah, it's really about where are you going to be heading to next?
Absolutely. And I don't like limitations. So that's why I'm a WordPress girl too. So here we go. That's another conversation. But
Yes.
yeah, but and something you mentioned before was about people wanting those bells and whistles, like these companies, and it's like, can we talk about the bells and whistles for a minute?
Yes.
Because yes, because what do you say as far as what people actually need to be focused on? Because I noticed too that a lot of people they just want so much fancy stuff, but it's like that's not what we're doing here. We're talking about your brand here. So that's like a different, I don't know if it's just a different perspective, a different angle. I think that people are looking at things sometimes, they want pretty. They just want pretty. They want something flashy and shiny, and it's like, well, no, because
Right.
that's not what we're doing. So, what do you say? What do you say to that, as far as like the bells and whistles and stuff? Like, what do we really need to be focused on with the website?
And it goes back to, we need to be focused on what is your brand about. Do you even understand what you're building? What's the vision that you have for yourself, your business? What does your brand look like in 10, 20 years? Are you a futuristic brand that every single time you're leading the changes, or are you a brand that you're good to be in the middle? Like you'll see the early and you'll go, but you don't have to be the first, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of this is also part of the component of when you're on these platforms. Not all of them are really focused on the same thing, and that's great. Some are focused strictly on courses, some are focused on marketing, some are focused on blogging. But what is your focus? What is your guiding tool and your guiding I would say your guiding light that leads how you make your decisions in your business? Because that also allows you to understand when and where are you going to do your next investment. If you are focused on getting the word out, getting publicity, then your next focus is you need to hire a publicity team, or you need to hire a team that does great with marketing or does great with ads, right? So you're not looking for a coach in that sense. You're not looking for someone to help you with a book right away. You're not looking for someone to help you build a course necessarily. You're going to start focusing on places and people who can help you get the word out and help you tell your story, in that sense of they're getting you on media, they're getting you out there in that way. But if you're looking for other things, or you're getting pulled because you don't even know what you're looking for, it's easy for you to get distracted. It's easy for you to say, oh, I love what you're saying over here, because you didn't sit down and focus yet on what you need and what is it that what's your next step. And that's where it becomes so important. And trust me, I was there too. Bells and whistles, especially when it comes to tech, every 2 seconds something drops. They're like, oh, that looks good. Oh, this looks good too.
Mhm.
And then I had to learn, like, nope, I don't care how good it looks, I don't need it right now. Or
Exactly.
I'll deal with it later.
Yeah.
Or, oh, this program looks great for me to get into, but I don't need to learn this code language yet. I'll wait. Right. So I had to start focusing more on what is the next step for me, and what is the next step for me to bring Brooklyn Custom Designs to. And am I building something else around that will help support it? And what would that look like? Is it a course? A lot, for years I've been hearing that song of course, you need to have a course, you need to have a course, you need to have a course, you need to build a community, do this, do that. But I wasn't ready. And why was I not ready? That was not on my roadmap yet. Right. That was because even in tech, when people tell you, oh, we have a roadmap, and people are like, well, I would like this, this, and this, because they are focused, they'll tell you, okay, add it to the roadmap. We'll reevaluate next quarter, and we'll see if this will fit in what our plans are for the year. And if they need to shift, they can shift accordingly. But when you're not even ready to lay down a list of what it is that your goals are, it's easy for you to now, you're all over the place. You're looking scattered and you're feeling scattered. And if you're not catching that first, then trust anybody else who's coming into that space with you, they're going to feel it too. So bells and whistles, they're great, they're cute, but they're complete distractions if you didn't have your list yet.
Exactly. Exactly.
Get your goals.
You summed that up so perfectly. I'm telling you. But thank you so much for that education, because yeah, people don't always seem to get it. But when we're talking about a foundation, like, you got to lay them goals down, and you got to understand where you're going. You just have to understand that more than anything. And so I wanted to ask you too about the website, as far as navigating the website, because I've also noticed that some people like a whole lot of stuff on their website, like a whole lot of pages and a whole lot of stuff. Like, how can we simplify this and make it make sense? Because the worst thing for me, I know when I go to a website, I don't want to be confused. I don't want, like I said, I run from complicated stuff. So it's like, if there's too much on there, I'm just going to leave.
Right.
You know what I mean? So how can we make our website, make it make sense so that people can come to it and navigate it and get to where they need to go?
Absolutely. Now, I'm glad you said that, because again, what's the goal, right? We have to figure out what the goal is for the website. When people come to you, and I think all websites, especially for small business owners, should be a place of resource.
Right.
Yes, you may have a store, but why not also create a space, a blog area, where you're talking about the things that you're selling? That allows people to learn about the tools beyond a description, because most people don't even write a description properly, right? So if you don't do that, that's a way for you to have people engage with your website, engage with the products, learn more about that. And we see that a lot with larger organizations. They're doing this. So why aren't we not doing it? Why do we think we don't need to do that? So when it comes to really learning how to put the website content together, again, what's the first thing and what's the most important thing? And then start scaling down from there. And I had to learn too, like, okay, how do I tell people this is a lot of stuff to talk about? And how do we sum it up? A lot of times people are like, well, I just love talking and well, that's great. Let's do that in a video. Right? Let's put all those lovely words in a video, and let's put 3 paragraphs or 3 sentences actually on the actual site. Let's make it something that people can skim through, they can understand and go through it quickly. And I was even hesitant to do stuff like that, because even for myself, I'm not wordy like that. I'm just like boom, boom, boom. But I want to also make sure when people come to my site, they got the information they need. They know what they're doing. They know, and I'm constantly redesigning and reshaping. I'm about to do another reiteration, right? but for me, it's like, okay, the more I'm listening and the more I'm watching, I can actually bring on people who can give me honest feedback about, okay, how did that hit? Is this something that makes sense to you? Is it too much? Would what's going on in your mind? And from that, I can really take a real assessment, take myself and my emotions out of what I created and what I put up. A lot of people don't do that. They don't separate themselves from when they create a website. And mind you, they might not be in love with it, but their whole thing is, I'm so proud. I did it. But at the end of the day, did you do it in an efficient manner? And are you open to hear when someone tells you, I don't know, I don't like it? Are you open to that? Because it's not a attack on you and your creativity. It's literally a feedback and some open insight to people who are trying to help you. Because if your people who know you and you sent them to the website are not connecting, or they don't understand, or it feels like too much for them, can you imagine a stranger who doesn't even know you? So it's like, get them to the point of, this is what they were looking for. This is the answer. If you have to have a direct link to their response, do that. Find ways to get people to the answer quickly. That's one thing. Another thing is, a lot of times people don't even have enough content. So I feel like they want to throw everything out there and just boom, 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 but they don't technically have enough to really go through it and fine tune it and make it great. So that, again, are you just throwing stuff up there just so you can say you have a page? What is it that you need to do? Because maybe you don't need a 5-page website or a 10-page website. You don't have content for that. And you don't have you don't have content for that. Let's just leave that there, right?
It's true.
So you might need a 1-pager that will simplify your life and simplify and make it easy for people to understand, why are they here? Who are you? What do you provide? Those type of things, right? And as you grow, then you can build out, and then you can bring on people who can help you put it together the way it should be. Because a lot of times that's exactly what websites are. It's not only you telling people your story, it's also the look, the feel, the ease of use. People don't get it. The ease of use means, can I get from point A to B and get the answers I was looking for? If you told me that there's something that you want me to purchase, are you sending me directly to it? Or do I have to fish throughout everything, right? You have like 40 different products. I got to fish through 40 different products. Right. Did you lay out the products right? I don't even know what section I'm in, right? Can you imagine you're at your favorite store, and they decided in the middle of the night, they're going to redesign everything. And they took down all the signs. They removed the aisle dividers, and they just piled everything in the middle of the room, and they say, hey, go at it. Happy Black Friday, go at it. Right? That's gonna be a nightmare. So why create that kind of an atmosphere on your website and then be disappointed that you're not getting or generating the views and the sales and the activity and the engagement that you were hoping for? So it's all about, again, mapping it out properly. Do you really need something? Do you need a full about page? Maybe you need a section on your homepage for your about, because maybe you don't have that much of I'll say longevity in your business yet. You might have just started the business. Right. You might have just started in this realm that you're doing coaching. Maybe you haven't done it that long. You don't need a full about page. Maybe you don't have a lot of testimonials. So get those 3 that you have and make them look enough, right? That's something that my friends and I would say, make it look enough, put it everywhere. That's right. Put it everywhere, make it look good. And then you can build from that. Because you even have companies that they've been there a long time. Like you have companies like Disney, they have a ton of stuff, but they make it easy to sift through. They make it easy for you to find what you need, and you're gone. And you do what you got to do. So do the same for yourself. So yeah, the content and just figuring that out, everything still has to start out at you mapping it out. Figuring out what the pages are. There's basic pages, the home landing page, your about page, your services or products. And usually that's like a landing page showing them. And then you would create individual pages for those, right? And then you would have your contact, all these little things that you can do. But if you're not a speaker yet, you might not need a full speaker page. Just give them a link to book you for a speaking gig, right? You don't, like I said, you don't have a lot of testimonies. You don't need a full testimonial page. You don't have a podcast yet. Why are you putting up a coming soon page for your podcast? You didn't start it yet. So a lot of things, right? A lot of things are there, and we have ideas flowing. Write those down. figure out which quarter you want to start working towards that. Create the content before you create the web page, and you'll be miles ahead.
I love this so much. This is so good.
And trust me, these are things that I learned because I made a lot of these mistakes when I started out. When I didn't even want to start a website when I started out.
Here.
It was by fluke, and a friend told me, hey, do a website. I was like, I don't know. She became my mentor. She walked me through it. We were doing Dreamweaver.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so trust, like I was a reluctant party entering into the tech space, but once I got there, even then I had to still learn, like, okay, yes, we can put up a website, but let's get this focus down. And that's where the branding came in, understanding marketing. And I didn't have to be a full-fledged marketer. I just had to understand the marketing aspect, because you're marketing your website, you're marketing who you are. So that has to be something that not only does it look good, it has information, it has to be information that people can digest and they can understand quickly. They can say, yes, you're the one, or no, you're not. Right?
Right. I love this so much. I did. I really did. I mean, you just gave us the business, okay? And because when we're talking about creating a legacy, we need to really understand everything that needs to be set in place and a part of our foundation. So this was very essential for us to understand. And what I love about Charlene is that she's not just trying to take your money and build your website. Like, she's giving you all the pieces that you need to be looking at in order to build a website and do it the right way so that it works for you the way it's supposed to. Because like I said in the beginning, this is our real estate. Like, this is something that, this is yours. This is what you own. Those other platforms, they could be gone tomorrow.
And I used to do the same mistake that a lot of us as developers and designers do when it comes to websites. I would be like, I'll take it. I'll do your content. I'll do your graphics. I'll do it. And then I started realizing, you know what? This client don't really understand all the work that I got to try to figure out, because they left all this off. And especially what would kill me is if I'm giving you a form to fill out and help me, and I'm asking you questions and you tell me, oh, you know me. Oh, you know that. Like, what? Like, this is not how this works. Like, you need to pretend you don't know me.
Exactly.
I never talked to you before. And this is just part of the deep dive that I realized so many didn't do. They just thought, hey, let me just verbally tell you all this stuff in an hour, and then you're going to come up with all this amazing stuff. Yeah, I can come up with anything, but is that something that still aligns with who you are, what your business needs, all of those things? But if you don't understand what your business needs, how you expect me to understand? So I had to start putting the onus back on the client. Yeah, I give you my link to book an appointment. You don't book the appointment. What would you like me to do? Because now I don't become a person that chases you to book an appointment to talk with me. Let's have these discussions, because you should care about your business more than I care about it.
Oh, right? Absolutely. Absolutely.
You need to start doing these conversations willingly. But if you're not willing to invest, right, in telling information and writing it down, because yes, you might have told me on the phone, or you might have told me on a Zoom, but I didn't memorize all of that. So maybe there was something else that I needed you to tell me and go into detail and really give me some story behind it. You don't want to do that either. Or what if I have to take this and give it to someone else? I'd rather them hear from you rather than me interpret, oh, well, as a summary, this is what they told me. And then it still goes wrong. So a lot of it is a team effort. It's so much a team effort. And trust, throughout the years, I'm like, oh my God, like, team for real needs to come through, and everybody needs to show up ready to do this. Because yes, I've been in the place where I've been more excited to work on someone's project than they were to get it done. And that was like, oh my God, like, when I tell you, that's almost a nail in a coffin type feeling.
Yeah.
But when I started transitioning into the education side, I realized, especially during COVID, so many people were acting like that because they really didn't understand the process.
Right. Right.
Right. They had people telling them, oh, I got you. I'll do the copy too. Like, let's just truth be truth. Your web designer or developer, especially a developer, is not your copywriter.
Exactly.
They don't even do your branding. Most of them will not do your branding. You need to come with all of that ready to, and prepared to go. For your project to be a 1-day project, a 1-week project, you should have had your copy ready, your content, your photos. You should have had your photo shoot done, not being scheduled, done.
Thank you.
Your
Thank
logo, your logo, all of the vectors and all that should have been what? Done. You had I remember in my early times, I was doing a barter on this one woman. When I tell you all, like when I looked at her list, she wanted for a barter a $10,000 site. So, I'm learning how to put together the contract for a barter. So I wrote everything out. And one of them was, and I also confirmed with my mentor, and I wrote everything out. And it was like literally a over $10,000 project. And I was like, okay, boom, put down the price tag. I wrote everything. I broke everything out. And that person was like, oh, well, I don't think it would be $10,000. I was like, okay, so you a consultant. You want a full out testimonial. You want all these 10 pages by the time I was done looking. Plus, they wanted a store. They had no products. Let's just start there. They had no products. That meant they had no descriptions. They had no titles for the products. They had nothing for the services, like all of these things. And I was like, at that time, I took on the work of doing the copy. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
So all of that, plus waiting and wondering like, well, are you doing the graphics? Am I doing, like, what's happening right now? So all of that, I had to really step into who I was at that time. Thank you to my mentor. And she's like, if you're not even going to acknowledge, and this is that you're not asking for money, you're literally just saying in the barter contract, this is what you're giving them. And they're telling you that's technically not a 10. I was like, oh, you know what? This will not work. This will not work. And I had to learn to do that even more often. So right now, I'm so confident to tell people, no, that's not going to work. This is my flow. This is what I need you to do. Let's move forward this way. Because once they start taking me out of what my flow is, now I can't work the way I need to. And especially bringing on people to help me and do their part, I can't get them to do that because now you're not in a flow. You're doing you.
Yep. That's
right. So when you're doing you and you all over the place, again, you don't have a structure. You don't understand what you need. You're not invested to create what you need. Like a lot of the expectations are wrong. Like, man, like to me, I was like, you cannot do that and expect you to have a website that is not only clear and succinct, represents your brand properly. Because whatever you build, whatever you create today is going to need another change up tomorrow. Yep. I like to tell folks every quarter, look at that website. What's no longer working, especially if you have a blog component. If you have videos, is it valuable? Or did you have to update the video because now you're giving somebody a tutorial? A lot of people, how many of them giving tutorials on platforms that change and they didn't even update their tutorials?
Right. Good point.
So you're giving outdated info.
See?
Yeah. So and taking down, hiding the date on your blog don't work. We already know it's outdated.
Exactly.
That game, I couldn't believe when they started that game and they nah, put the date back. We know that it's not updated.
Oh my goodness, this is so good. I'm telling you. Wow, that's really something to think about. Yeah, staying on top of things, making sure everything is updated. Like I've seen so many outdated things, and I'm like, you cannot be serious. But people just really need to take it seriously. I mean, that's just the bottom line. So, and come prepared. Come prepared with all the stuff. You want all this and all that. Come with your content, come with everything that you need that is conducive to what you want to see as a result. So, just come prepared. That's
And
it.
if you're one who does quarterly check-ins with your team, you do an annual rev up with your team, and you're like, okay, this is what we're doing next year. Bring in your web designer, your web developer. Why are you leaving them out? And then you drop in an email talking about, hey, 2 weeks from now, I'll like this done. Stop that. I'm just going to ask for all web designers and developers out in the streets, graphic artists, copywriters, please stop doing that to the creatives, because I feel like that gives a disrespect.
Yeah, it is. It
That's a
really
stench of disrespect where you feel like you're so busy that you can't talk to your creative designers.
is.
We here for a reason, but we busy too. So bring us in so we can properly support you. Those last minute drops, those not cute.
Right, right. And that needed to be said, what you just said. So speaking for all the web designers out there, listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Creatives are people too. We got
Right,
schedules. We got
right.
schedules.
I'm telling you. So, so Charlene, tell us about your offer to our audience.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm super thrilled about this offer. I am putting together a scaled down version of what I was doing my summit before, which was struggle site rescue. And now I am repackaging and redoing that for a DIY purpose. But for the first 2 times that I'll be doing it, it will be live with me. So it's called Empower and Scale. You can go head on over to empowerandscale.com and just get on in there and become part of that first creative voice, where not only do you get to ask me questions directly, but it's really for those who are not ready to build out their sites. You need to understand the components you have to have, you would like to have, what's the realistic ventures that you need to do, right? How much content do you need to create? Who do you need to hire? How do you hire them? Who are you looking for? All of that, we're going to help you create a blueprint. We're going to do that together live, like I said, for the first 2 times. And that's something that I cannot wait for. I have an amazing person helping me put that together, because I get so many ideas. I too need someone to
Yeah.
help me and say, all right, let's rope this in. Let's do this. I was like, yes, okay, perfect. So
Yes.
Empower and Scale, that's the new venture. And just head on over, and literally it's something that not only do you get to walk away with the blueprint, you get to walk away with that clarity, that full understanding of, okay, this is what I need to do. And a lot of the steps that we will go through, I go through that with clients. Let's get into what understanding what your branding is. What's the future of this brand looking like? What's the voice looking like? What's your feel?
Yeah.
And if you need that extra person, a branding expert to work with you, I have the recommendations for all the people that I would recommend, because they would be part of my team. So if you want me to take it over, that's okay. My team and I will take it over. But either way, we can start you off right there at Empower and Scale, and get you going.
Awesome. I love that.
I'm
Okay.
excited.
Take her up on that offer. Listen, take her up on this offer. This is going to be an amazing opportunity for you to really pull it all together. So make sure you tap in with her. So, Charlene, where can we also connect with you? Like, what platforms are you hanging out on these days?
Well, my website,
Your website.
brooklynCustomDesigns.com/about. At that side, you will not only learn more about me, learn more about Brooklyn Custom Designs, you'll also see my socials. I'm on Instagram at Brooklyn Custom Designs, BKLYN Custom Designs. That's my Instagram. Same thing on LinkedIn and Twitter is BK Custom Designs. Facebook is Brooklyn Custom Designs as well. And like I live more likely on LinkedIn. I had 3 LinkedIn lives. If you also want to see a little more of my personality, hear more feedback that I would give people, information I would share, a lot of that is on LinkedIn. So if you head on over, connect with me on LinkedIn. Yeah, that's my fastest route. Is
Yeah.
there. And I also have my email community that you can find also on
Okay.
brooklynCustomDesigns.com/about.
All right. Well, we loved you today. Thank you so much for this conversation. I know a ton more that that I needed to know too. So listen, thank you so much for being here,
My
Charlene.
pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Hey, all right, guys, make sure you connect with her, and I'm gonna see you next time. Take care.